And good morning, and welcome to yet another special online edition of Motion to Adjourn. As we said a couple months ago, we're looking to expand our reach.
Good morning, everyone.
So today I have very special guests who I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jamahl Simmons, Member of Parliament for Constituency 33.
Yes. How you doing, Jamal? Happy. You have something you have to say today, don't you?
I have to wish my wife a happy anniversary, and only you, Chris Famous, can get me from my anniversary celebrations from my wife. So we're celebrating 23 years today.
And now you're setting me up as the bad guy.
Well, yeah.
Happy anniversary to the Mrs. Simmons. And,
Thank you.
And the Hill Simmons clan, not just because I know you all are a wholesome family, which is actually defies the odds nowadays. So,
well, thank you,
yes.
Thank you.
And you have another anniversary that you're celebrating as well, don't you?
Oh, yeah. So back on November 18th, I celebrated 9 years as the MP for Constituency 33. And it's been a great time. I've really enjoyed it. And I'm just thankful for the people of Constituency 33, the branch executive, the volunteers, everybody who really have helped and supported us throughout this period. It's been fantastic.
And what has it been like as the MP for Constituency 33?
Well, it's interesting because the process in which I became the MP was interesting because I wasn't the first choice. I probably wasn't even the first 10 choices. And circumstances arise where one person couldn't do it, one person had to pull out, one person refused, and the opportunity came. And, it was an amazing fit because I didn't realize the depth of the family connections I had in the constituency and just the depth of the connections going. I mean, just to the fact that my family goes back to being enslaved on Wreck Hill, which is Constituency 33, under the Burroughs family. So there's a tremendous history there, tremendous amount of family. And it was particularly significant to represent the area because our leader at the time, Mark Bean, as he says, that's my hood, so you've got to do well. And so, there was a real pressure in the beginning. And not just that, but in the past 3 elections, the numbers have been plummeting. Every election, the numbers were going down. So when I got elected, it's often painted as a safe seat. The day I got elected, it wasn't. I think it was like 113, 14 votes that we won by. And so a lot of the process initially was sort of reconnecting with the community, understanding why the decline was occurring and correcting it. And understanding what the constituency needed. Because I think what happens is when you come into an area, you have to get an understanding, first of all, of who you represent, what they want from you, what they expect from you, and how to best deliver it. And, over that process, we found that we have a community that wants to be engaged. We have, at the time when I got elected, we were the youngest constituency. We've got a few more seniors now, but there were a significant, I think the average age is like 48 in my constituency. So you're talking about people who are parent age, have children. And so we do a lot of youth events because, I really feel that, as for me personally, I don't want you to only see me when I'm looking for a vote. I don't want you to only see me when I'm doing something to get attention. I want to be able to give back to the community and be present and active in the community all year round, not just during election period. And so that's the approach we take. And I've got a great team that just has been very supportive of me, even to the point of, putting up with an MP dressing up in a costume on Halloween and giving out candy to children. So as my camera collapses, but it's been a great experience. But the interesting, unique thing about it, so because I've got so many relatives in the area, you call on somebody and, oh, I was talking to your mama last night, or they call you, don't leave a message, call your mother or your father and tell you, hey, I've been trying to reach your son, I can't get him. So, you get that sort of dynamic, which is actually kind of cool, but it's a higher level of responsibility because you can't take people for granted anyway. And you certainly can't take family for granted because, people do want to be treated properly and they don't want to be taken for granted.
So for those that don't know, because a lot of people are, not from the country, where Where is constituency 33?
So it runs down the middle of the western side of Georges Bay Road,
Now,
the middle of
you gotta use landmarks.
um, the restaurant. Was it DNC Grill?
Okay.
So the, where the laundromat across. So basically, I'm on the laundromat side going in towards Morgan's Point. It runs down the middle of the road on that side to Woodlawn Road, which is across from White Hill Field. Down the middle of the road of Woodlawn Road, and then it goes all the way back up to almost Soundview. So that's where it covers. So it's White Hill, Somerset Bridge, Packwood Fort Scour. It's a lot of historical landmarks, a lot of very, very, it's a beautiful constituency.
So I learned the hard way a little while back that from late great Pop Simmons that White Hill ain't Somerset. So you actually are the sole MP that your constituency covers White Hill and Somerset.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it is different. I mean, but I think what's interesting is that what is common is that it's a strong family connection. So if you look at the area from the boundary on the eastern side of my constituency by the laundromat down to almost completely Somerset Bridge, almost everybody there is related. They're almost all related. So it's a very close constituency in terms of community links. It's a lot of support for each other and a lot of, it really is the embodiment of you better be careful who you talk to because you don't necessarily know who you're talking to. And so it's interesting to that. But from a cultural standpoint, I grew up in Somerset. Most of my family is from the White Hill area. And luckily, my wife, most of her family is from the White Hill area. So it's interesting. We have the joke that like if they're not related to me, they're related to her. But growing up in Somerset, it's, my memories of coming to White Hill was, when they used to have the Gymkhana and like the different things at the field, like very active events. And it's interesting, but it is a different community. I mean, I think that most of my constituents root for Somerset when Cup Match comes around, though, but I think that's the only time.
They have that White Hill Somerset Bridge Recreation Club versus Somerset Cricket Club.
Oh yeah. Well, you see what colors I got on today.
You can't see it. Explain it to me.
They got the blue and the gold of the SBRC.
Okay, all right, bro. All right.
I didn't want to trigger you with the Cup Match colors.
Well, look at our backgrounds.
I know, right?
It's pretty clear, bro. Who are some of the folks on your team?
Oh, we've got Ms. Candace Burrows, who's been the chairman now since before I got there. And for a lot of people who may have forgotten, my predecessor, Mr. Terry Lister, he sat as an independent actually when he stepped down. So when we came in, we had to really sort of pull the team together. And so Candace had been holding down the fort for the party almost by herself, with other people helping out as well. But it was primarily her. And we've got Carla Jean Baisden. We've got a few other people. I don't want to name them all because some don't always want their names out there like that. But we have a good team, a solid team. And what I like about the relationship we have is that I told them from day one, you guys are the boss. I may come with ideas, I may come with some things I want to do, but there's virtually nothing I do on the national constituency stage without letting them know or getting them involved or taking their guidance or leadership from.
So tell us in a minute or less, tell us about your first election leading up to your first.
Well, it was funny because I ran against Georgia Marshall. Shout out to Georgia Marshall, ran against her twice. But in the by-election, the first conversation I had with her was at nomination day at the lodge. And so, the first thing I got was this lecture about how could you come here and represent these people when you're not even from the area? And I said, okay.
Who said that?
And so Georgia Marshall, she sorry. Oh. Yeah, so they had a whole campaign based around like I'm not from the area, not knowing the lay of the land and knowing what they were dealing with. And so I wasn't a candidate that had to be introduced to anybody for the most part. I went to people's houses and they were like, cousin, uncle. So that campaign they ran offended a lot of people, turned a lot of people off. And you mentioned Pops. There's a funny thing that Pops did. I mentioned it at his funeral service, his homegoing service. A reporter from the Gazette went up there to interview constituents. And the story came out, oh, nobody knows him. I don't know if I'm going to vote, all this stuff, right? So I'm reading this and I'm feeling down. I'm like, where's this coming from? So I get one call. It's from my aunt. She says, "You see the paper there?" I threw him off the trail. Right? Then I get a call from Pops. And Pops was like, all these people in the story you said this were relatives. They're like, yeah, we're setting them up. We're setting them up. I said, guys, please don't do that again. Okay, please don't do that again. So yeah, during the campaign it was interesting, but yeah, it was like, I mean, there was an article that the OBA put out, and I mean, this one, it was so bad the Gazette actually had to edit it down because they just attacked. And again, didn't understand the lay of the land, didn't understand the ground. It helped more than it hurt. So we we went in, we felt pretty confident. We had a good strategy, and we came out on top. And we managed to hold 80% of the vote that my predecessor had at the previous election. So while it didn't win at the margin of a safe seat, 200 plus votes, it was a comfortable win. But we knew we had a lot of work to do. And we had to get out in the community. We had to really, really establish connections and let people, because, one thing about Bermuda, people may know you, they know your family, they know like the connections, but until they actually look you in the eye, talk to you, get to know your style, get to know what you're about, there's still that sort of, I got to know who you are. And I think once the constituents got to know me better and got to know sort of my style, and I got to know what they expected from me, we were off and running. And so it's been, since the past 2 elections, thanks to my team and thanks to the work, we've brought it back. I mean, we won last time, I think, by like almost 300 votes. So it's been a tremendous transformation.
So what are some of the community activities that you do in your constituency?
So every month, weather permitting, we have a constituency clinic. Some people call it a surgery, where people are welcome to come out, and most of the time people will come with a specific concern, but there are also times people just come to hang out. They just want to chat and talk, and it's great. It's a great opportunity to really, not just be seen in the community, but for people to who may say, "Man, I've been meaning to call you. I wanted to talk about this issue, and seeing you there, let me stop and deal with it." And so there's that. We also do every Valentine's, we go out and we take out some goodies to the single senior ladies of our constituency, just to recognize them and show them appreciation. We most recently did a bus tour with some of our seniors, just taking around the island, and we're going to be doing some Christmas light viewing with them later in this month, later next month. Sorry. We do the Easter egg hunt. We do the back to school drive. We give away supplies, everything for first year students going into Dalton Tuckett Primary. We've got the Halloween trick or treat night, but we also do a lot of virtual town halls. And when I first started, we did sort of town halls face to face, and we found that a lot of people who would want to engage didn't like getting out at night. And so when during COVID, when we started having these things to sort of be able to stay connected and talk to people, it really took off. And so we've got a lot of people interested. And surprisingly, a lot of seniors are very interested in going on to virtual town halls. It's been very interesting and very good. So what we do is we try to have, after the budget, someone come in and talk about the budget. After the throne of speech, we have discussions about that. And what I try to do with the team is we try to create an environment where I want you to feel free to give your opinions, give your feedback, because that helps me in my job, in terms of when I speak on the national stage, when I speak in the party caucus, to be able to articulate what people feel on the ground, and not just supporters, but people who may be on the fence. And to be able to bring that feedback back, I think is incredibly important. So we're very busy. In 2019, we won the most active branch award for the party. I don't know if they've given it away since, but we're still trying to get it every year if it's still going on, because it's something that I think is important. People need to know that you're available, you're working, and you're doing what you're supposed to.
All right, you actually, a little birdie sent me something, right? You got little I don't want to use the word snitches, right? But you got somebody says, "Hey, check this out." So that's something for you.
Oh yeah, those are from 2014. It's like a couple from 2017 too. But so yeah, that was
that stuff you've been doing in the community.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. Look pretty active there, bro.
Well, man, I no, I mean that's it. But you know, I think is that like my father was an MP and he was also a branch chairman before that. And he always stressed and continues to stress to me that like you have to stay connected and engaged with the community. And that's very important to me because, you know, like a lot of people, you know, the perception is that, look, you only see me election time and you only see me when I want to vote. And that's something I wanted to really break, to, you know, break the mold, to just not be that guy. I mean, the worst thing that I feel to myself when somebody says something to me is, I haven't seen you. That's just to me like, it's like, okay, you got to go to another level. You got to keep pushing it because that's, it's important.
Yeah. So what as a seasoned MP and campaigner, what advice would you give to new persons getting into the political arena?
I think you have to get in it first for the right reasons.
Mhm.
If you're getting in it to become somebody or to become popular or known, it's a recipe for disaster because for the most part, this is a thankless job. So, you know, this is, I keep stressing to a lot of people, we are in the what have you done for me lately business and what's in it for me business. And so you constantly have to keep letting people know what's in it for them and what's how you're providing benefit. And if you are a person who doesn't like canvassing, who doesn't like getting out in the community, who doesn't like even sometimes facing abuse online or in person, this is not for you. And you know, you have to kind of view it as something where every day you start off having the good work you did yesterday, you start from scratch today. And if you understand that, you become a little bit more thick-skinned. Things don't bother you as much. And you also have to kind of look at it like I take the perspective that the people are my boss. And so I'm very cognizant about how I talk to my boss. I'm very cognizant about how I respond to my boss. And I've got 1,318 of them. So, you know, that's that's a challenge, but that's the perspective I go at and that's the advice I give. But I think the best advice that I was given years ago, I believe it was Dave Jennifer who told me this, that pick a passion, something you want to change, a subject that you want to be knowledgeable about so that when you stand in parliament and speak on that issue, when the country hears you speak on that issue, they stop and listen because you have put the time in, the study and the work in to become proficient and knowledgeable in the subject. And that's something I've always taken to heart and always encouraged, you know, people when they come in, you know, it has to be about more than just going to parliament and giving a speech. It has to be more about being on television every once in a while. It has to be about what are you passionate about politically? What do you want changed? What do you want to grow?
Hmm. Yeah, because why I ask that is because, you know, it's no secret we're closer to another election than further away. And there's going to be new people coming in, PLP, OBA, independents, whatever, right? I mean, whatever, meaning like we don't know who
Yeah.
could be a third party. And what I find interest as an interesting observation is you get persons involved in politics and you say, okay, whatever side of the fence you want, it doesn't matter, right? But you're saying, okay, so what is your ideology? Like, what is this
Mm,
person's ideology? Are they like far right, like a Michael Fay? We know what his ideology is, right? There's no gray area about his ideology. Then you
mm,
got on our side, you got Bishop Derek Burgess. You know what his
mm.
ideology is. There's no
Yeah.
gray area. But there are folks that at times, I don't want to say they don't readily express what the ideology is, right? And just so people are like, well, I ain't seen that, you know, beyond the I ain't seen my MP, they themselves don't know where the MP
What they
falls
stand for.
on the Richter scale, right? And
Mm,
no, you have a society where, as you said, you look in the word Gazette, you know, some brutal racist comments every day. So some people may be afraid or not, you know, either side, not willing to put their face in the paper, but just saying, hold on, if you're going to represent people, right? You have to
mm.
be willing to like put your neck on the line. Like you have to be willing like to get egg in your face sometimes. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I think you know what's interesting. There was a quote from a TV show last year that really resonated with me. It says, this character said, "I burn my life for a future I will never see." And it resonated with me because, there is a price to be paid for being in politics. My family's paid a very heavy financial and occupational price for it. But I would do it again because I want to see my country better. I mean, I first got interested in politics as a child around the table, my parents talking about the issues. And when I came back from Howard University in 97, I saw people as educated as me, more educated than me, struggling to move up, struggling to get hired, and struggling to find homes. And that's what really drove me to get involved politically, like on the front lines, because just our people deserve better. And that's something that, I will always focus on. But when it comes to ideology, the reason why you don't have a lot of ideology is because a lot of people don't actually really know what an ideology is. They don't actually study it. So you have a lot of people that will come into the political arena with a mishmash of sort of some things right wing, some things left wing, some things middle, some things based on their upbringing and background. For me, I'm a social democrat. I'm a leftist as far as you can go. And
see all these big words, man. Come on, man. Social democrat, what that means?
Well, so social democrat is basically a belief in socialism via democratic process. So it's not dictatorship. So when you look at things like the social insurance, when you look at things like HIP, when you look at things, anything that government pays for that could be operated as a profit and isn't, that's socialism, short version. And so that's where, we come in alignment with in terms of making sure the social security net is. And it's interesting because, if you go around the world, labor parties are based on that model. That's the fundamental foundation of the Labour Party in the UK, the Labour Party in St. Kitts. And having spent some time among different labor parties, it's interesting because a lot of people don't realize part of the reason why the PLP is probably the only labor party that doesn't have the color red as their colors is because at the time, the conservatism of Bermuda, they didn't want to be associated with socialism. So there are things like that, as we know our history, you delve into it. And I think that what everyone has to there's a great thing online, it's called the political compass. And I advise anybody interested in politics, go in and actually put your beliefs in and see where you land up on the spectrum. Because a lot of us, and Bermuda, part of it is racial dynamic as well. So you will get somebody in the PLP who may be very conservative, very sort of focused on different things, but a lot of us driven here because of race, comfort level, things of that nature. And the same thing happens in the ODA and the UBP prior. So ideology, I think what we see in the Caribbean, you are able to have ideology because you tend to have a less racially diverse society. So you can focus on the issues. You don't have the history of slavery in terms of them being active participants in the economy still, in some cases, in the politics, definitely. So it's a complex issue, but I think that, the more people understand where people come from. And I mean, I go back to Walton Brown. Walton Brown was a full socialist, okay? Like full socialist. He was preaching about Palestine liberation long before anything was going on in the news. And he's somebody who was a tremendous mentor to me. And like every day, I think, even though we didn't agree on everything, he's a little bit further left than I am. But it was a great opportunity to talk to somebody and learn and to be able to debate on a level about where we stand on issues. And we were both in the same party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that warrants another talk about ideology and spectrums. On Friday, you gave a very poignant speech during motion to adjourn. The topic of the day was CARICOM. Tell us, not so much. What do you tell me? What your experience of Bermuda's involvement with CARICOM, because you were there more before most of us.
So I have to go back to my previous life and my experiences in a previous and no longer with us party, so they claim. So at the time that the government, the PLP government, was looking at being involved as an associate member of CARICOM, I was then a member of the United Bermuda Party. And my background, I've worked in the Caribbean. I actually did a couple of months of school in Jamaica when my mother was down there studying. So my experiences, my grandfather's from Jamaica, my experience in the Caribbean have been extremely positive and extremely, enriching. And so initially I was like, okay, what's the big deal? Like, why is this a problem? And we had a number of people come in to the UBP caucus and tell us about how, we do this to the economy, we do that to the economy, all this stuff, right? And so, look, we're on the same team, supposedly. Why would they lie to you? So we go, get ready to go to Parliament to debate the actual associate membership. And we were told, hey, look, we white fellas, we got to stay in the background because they'll just call us racist and distract. So you black folks need to go out front and carry the banner against this, right? And again, you've had the lecture about how this is going to do this and do that, and not just from political people, from business figures, right?
Mm.
So you go up there, you do that. The bill passes, of course, and a month passes, 2 months pass, 3 months pass, 6 months pass. None of the stuff that we were told would happen happened. So at that point, you start saying, okay, I'm not sure about this. Then I had the opportunity to attend a Commonwealth Parliamentary Association seminar. I believe it was in Grenada. And I had an opportunity to actually interact with people who've been involved with CARICOM. And I started to actually learn about it. And I was like, wow, this is actually an opportunity that we should be taking better advantage of. And so when I came back and I spoke publicly on it, I got reprimanded. I got just the whole nine. But I just felt it was the right thing to say and do because I was wrong. I had been misled and I was wrong. And that was the beginning and the end of my association with that organization because I don't like being lied to, and two, I'm not particularly fond of being a human shield for other people's interests. And so that was the beginning of the end of that. And then when I became Dr. Brown's chief of staff and later his press secretary, I have to give him tremendous kudos as one of the premiers who really took advantage of the relationship. And attending with him and seeing how he moved and operated, he used to go to the meetings, and the meetings were almost irrelevant. He would go to make deals. And, we need nurses in Bermuda, and you have a nursing school. We need some scholarships. I'll send you some students. You send us back some Bermudian nurses. And that was the dynamic of what do we have that you need? What do you need that we have? And I was always amazed by his just negotiating savvy. I mean, like he was a guy who just, I think Bermuda really underappreciated his value as somebody with experience on the world stage. But that I think, and that's something I think that, whatever relationship we have with CARICOM, there's an old saying about international relations: no permanent allies, only permanent interests. And so we have to be very protective of our interests, and wherever that takes us, that we can advance our interests and bring things back for our people, we should be open to explore it. And so the perspective, as I said in the House, for me is this: I'm open to it. I'm waiting for the government to lay out the consultative plan. I'm waiting to go to my constituents and get their feedback on how they feel about it. And from there, we'll be able to help, shape the party's position and help be able to shape the way forward. But I think that, we always have to look at things in terms of what value it brings back to our country. And I have seen firsthand where just associate membership brought tremendous value under a leader who understood how it worked and pushed for it to work. And I can't speak to what happened after because I wasn't involved at that level. But I know firsthand how Dr. Brown moved and the value he brought back from our participation in CARICOM. And so that I think is really the key. Because I think a lot of people, if you erase the Caribbean prejudice, if you erase these guys just like to take trips, there may be more under there, but we need to explore that. And if there's more under there, then it is our job to be able to show the value and highlight the value and be able to paint a vision of what this looks like. People were worried about the free movement of labor. Bahamas has been a full member since the beginning. They don't have free movement of labor. They also have pre-custom clearance like we do. It hasn't been jeopardized. So the thing is that while there are people like Sir John have their positions, I think that we have to always view every opportunity at our shores. How can we push an agenda that benefits our people? And how can we go every time we get on a plane, or we get on a Zoom call, or we get on a phone call, what am I bringing back to my people? And I think that this is something that we should at least consider exploring and making sure we reap the full benefits of.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm going to reserve my comments on thing because I don't want to preempt something that the minister, Deputy Premier Walter Urban is going to lay out. But what I will say without hesitation is it's when you spoke in Parliament and you said what happened 20 years ago, I'm like, oh, so it's the same game plan now. Because if you look at the timeline, the throne speech was announced on a Friday, by the Saturday. Of all the 50 plus initiatives in the throne speech, the World Gazette puts Bermuda to seek full membership at CARICOM. And when you see that, then you know what the comments are going to be, right?
Absolutely.
They didn't talk about affordable housing that we're doing and going to continue to do. They didn't talk about the fact we're going to actually be paying down the debt this year. They didn't talk about all the other stuff that is moving Bermuda in the right direction. Increased tourism, blah, blah, blah. CARICOM. Let's just paint everything with the proverbial, literally black brush, right? And the comments start flowing. And then there's a press conference, and instead of even asking about anything pertinent, oh, what's this deal with CARICOM? Why are you involved with CARICOM? And it was ironic that you had someone who's from England asking a black man why you want to be involved in CARICOM.
Yeah,
I shouldn't say it's ironic, but it's the optics were clear as to what is going on here. And ever since then, there's been this constant negative stream about CARICOM in the media, or one media in particular. Then you have somebody of non-Caribbean heritage, and put that way, writing op-eds, numerous op-eds, planting seeds of doubt, planting seeds of, well, if they do this, this means that people are going to come here and take people's jobs, right? That's the first thing. Now, the irony is this person was the biggest proponent for immigration, right, during his time.
Let me tell you a story about that, right? So when I was Minister of Economic Development, and I would get cornered at these different events and things like, oh, you need to, bring in more people, whatever. And I had a thing. I had worked with a company that was owned by a fellow who specialized in helping athletes at the tail end, professional athletes at the tail end of their career, be able to extend their wealth. And they've been trying to get in Bermuda for years. And I would say to these guys, I can drop 150 current former NBA basketball players in Bermuda tomorrow. I can drop 150 NFL players, former and current, tomorrow. How do you feel about that? And you would immediately see the body language, they'd be like, because let's be clear, immigration has been weaponized to maintain a hegemony of colonialism for decades. And, we really, I just have to laugh because wealth is a little bit more than the Northeast of North America. I mean, we are open to everybody, but if we actually put the concerted effort in to be able to open up, I had at an event when I was minister, the WASTE conference. I can't remember what the acronym was for, but they brought in all of these professional boxers, millionaires. Okay, never heard of Bermuda beyond Bermuda Triangle. Fell in love with the place. But when the efforts came to try and get assistance to sort of move them forward, to get involved, do things like that, every excuse in the world. And so we have to be open to business, and not just to people that we are comfortable with, that we want to socialize with, that we want to marry. There are also people who don't necessarily look like the former dominant culture of the island. And it's part of the process of growing.
Yeah, and the thing that's, as I said, back to this particular individual who I won't sully his name, I won't sully this show with his name, is that, as I said, they were the biggest proponent for immigration, right? Oh, we need more people. Not saying we don't, but they were the biggest proponent. Now they're trying to attempt to muddy the water. Before we even had the first meeting, this person and others are attempting to muddy the water. So it goes back to this whole thing of, if you all are putting so much effort into sullying the water, muddying the water, this conversation, right? Government haven't said they're going to do this, that, or they say they're going to have public consultation. And you all are putting all this Herculean effort into muddying the water. This tells me that ain't nothing changed, right? Excuse my colloquialism, right? Yeah. And I think that as Bermudians, we have to see things for what they are, right? Because if you're going to tell me in one stroke, they're saying, well, Bermuda needs to be like the other islands because look at their tourism product. Their tourism product is taking off and they've got racket tourism. And why is Bermuda so behind, blah, 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 right? That was fine for them to say that, right?
Mm.
It's fine for them to say we need to be like Cayman Islands. They're opening their doors to everyone and blah blah blah. Now, if you actually went to Cayman Islands, you actually see what is happening to the locals. But be that as it may, who they're opening the doors to? They're opening the doors primarily to people from the Caribbean.
Exactly.
That's
Well,
driving the main population drive is from Jamaica and the Philippines, right? So the
mhm.
point I'm driving at, and I don't mean that in any negative way whatsoever. The point I'm saying is that if you are the biggest proponent for Cayman Islands, why are you
Mm.
now suddenly the biggest opponent of something that you're imagining the government might do? But anyway,
Well,
be that
I
as it
think
may, we would have
I
to. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I just think that's why platforms like this are important. Um, I don't really preoccupy myself too much with what the Royal Gazette does other things because I have my own platforms. Like every single person who's got access to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and face-to-face contact has the ability to counter these narratives. And I
Mhm.
think that for us who want to see change in our country, we have to be bold and lay out unapologetically why we're doing things. I mean, we're now 20 something years into the first PLP government, and we're still getting hammered because somebody gets a contract that somebody else doesn't think they deserve. And we have to be very bold and say what we are intending to do in our society. If we intend to do something, we need to say, this is what we believe. And I believe that we have the ability and the confidence in the people to go in many exciting directions. But I think we just have to really recognize there are people who oppose whatever we say. I
Mhm.
don't even read the comment section of the Gazette anymore because you know what I figured out? They don't vote for me. So, there might as well be a flock of geese. I appreciate the opinion. But for somebody who is hard and fast against me, that's like, going to a club every Friday and asking a girl who's already told you, I'm not interested. Why you don't like me? Why you don't like me? They don't like me. So, go talk to your OBA representative. I appreciate your feedback, but I'm not going to take abuse from you.
Yeah, and the thing, and I would end on this note, right? Is that when you look at the comments in the Royal Gazette, they are like some profoundly racist comments. Not every comment, but there are some profoundly racist comments, right? And this person is no way, shape, or form ever voting PLP, right?
Mhm.
Unless they're got split personality, they are not voting PLP. So now you have a interim leader of the OBA, right? You have some new faces in the OBA, right? And you're saying, okay, when are you all going to address your racist supporters?
Mhm.
Because whether you realize or not, these people, they will only vote for you because you're on their team, not because they like you, right? And that's
Oh,
what the
yes.
OBA, some of those people in the OBA need to understand, that you all are dealing with some very racist people
Oh, yeah.
as supporters, right?
I've lived with it, man. I mean, I think the thing that whether it was the UBP or the OBA, they go through these reinventions. And there are people that I like on both sides. I mean, like Jerry and I practically grew up together. We were journalists together at the same time. We used to shop at the same comic book store. So I've known him for a long time. And the thing for me is that there was no repudiation of what was bad in the UBP. There was just an embracing of everything. So, we had a conversation with a couple of OBA people. And I said, look, if the PLP split and one group went off and then we reunited as a new party, Alaska will probably still be burning. Our people wouldn't move that smoothly based on our history because we're discerning. And if you understand the whole purpose of the UBP OBA machinery is to actually, from a historical basis, block Black progress. That was the point of why the UBP was started. The PLP began first. Everybody panicked and said, oh, these guys are getting organized. We better organize too. And so this is my thing. I think, like there are a lot of good people. There are a lot of nice people that are the face of the One Bermuda Alliance. Those are not necessarily the people you got to worry about. It's the people that they talk to in those communities, the people who pay the party's bills, the people who pay for the campaigns, the people who write the platforms. That's who you got to watch. And a lot of them are who you see in the comment sections of the Royal Gazette. That's the
Well,
real face of that party.
MP Jamahl Simmons, thank you for this first conversation. This won't be the last because,
Thank you.
as you can see, things are heating up, and we would have you and other guests who want to talk about, um, you know, political ideology and different things, because one of the things lacking out of, in my opinion, lacking out of our society is actual real debate, right? Real,
Mm.
actually educated debate versus name calling or point scoring. Like, you know what I
Mm.
mean? Like, have
Oh yeah.
somebody on that's an OBA, but at least let's debate reality. Like, don't sit there and just throw these little one liners from your PR person, right? Both sides do that times. But the point I'm saying is that we need, as a country,
Mm.
if we claim to be maturing, right, we have to have mature conversations and not just, yo, man, meet me after the meeting and then we'll talk. No. We
Yeah.
talk. No, we talk in front of the people. So I
Yeah.
want to thank you on behalf of Motion to Adjourn. This will be on. This is actually now on YouTube. If anyone wants to watch it, you can send it out, and it also, if not this week, next week, it will be airing on our radio version. So thank you once
Well,
again. Thank you
thank you
to
for having me.
your wife for allowing me to have you for 41 minutes. And thank you to the lady that grounded me in how to properly canvas, and who everybody loves her gingerbread, Mrs. Candace Torres, and her husband, who is
Lee.
a avid historian of the Way Bermuda
Yes, he is.
Wars. Thank
Yes, he
you,
is.
thank you. And my brother, PLP,
All the way.
all the way.
PLP.
All right. We'll be back sometime, maybe this week or next week, with another invigorating conversation.